What are you calling this?
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. What
are
we
you calling this? Welcome to Da-Da-Da for Gamer Saving.
Like, we got all excited to get recording.
Yeah, and then it was like, oh man, like I don't even know what we're officially gonna call this. Hi everybody, this is Bobby, the rules lawyer, with Gaming with Gamers Haven. This first video is going to be in between a game of Undaunted North Africa between my wife and I. The Undaunted series of games has come out with 2 games so far. The first one being Undaunted Normandy and the second one being Undaunted North Africa. They're both standalone games, neither of them are expansions for each other, and they in fact can't really be combined. But they are both excellent standalone deck building war games. We've set up scenario number 1, Landing Ground 7. My wife will be playing the Long Range Desert Group, and I will be playing as the Italian forces. This game plays out over a series of turns. Each round, we start with a deck that is determined by the scenario. On each of our turns, we will each draw 4 cards, and then we will both play a card from our hand that determines who is the starting player. The starting player is determined off of the top number of each one of these cards. Whoever plays the highest one has the initiative. If there is a tie, whoever has the initiative the last round gets to continue. When it is your turn, you play all the cards from your hand that you want to play. You do not have to play all of them, but you do an action for each unit that you have in your hand. So, if I played Rifleman A, I would take Rifleman A from the board and either move, attack, or control with him. Riflemen are the only ones who can control. All of the different cards have slightly different abilities. This is the first scenario, so there aren't a ton of abilities. I have a rifleman, a machine gunner, and a scout. The machine gunner can attack and suppress. He gets a better attack because he gets to roll 2 dice instead of 1. Rifleman only gets to roll 1. And he also has a suppress action, which allows him to roll 4 dice at once, which, while it doesn't deal damage, does basically cost your opponent a turn, or a card. Next time they play that card of that unit that is suppressed, that all it does is make them unsuppressed, and then they can move again after they play their next turn. The other cards that the Italians will be using will be the Fog of War cards. The Fog of War cards just fill up your deck with nonsense. The more you scout and the more you actually check out the map, the more Fog of War cards go into your hand directly. The only way you can move onto a space is if it's been scouted already. The only way to scout spaces are with scouts and a few other cards that will be introduced in later scenarios. The scout action just allows you to move your scout up to 2 spaces, and for every space that doesn't already have a scout token on it, you get to put one on there, meaning your other units can move there as well. But every time you put a new scout token onto the board, you have to take a Fog of War card into your deck. The British will be playing with a machine gunner, an engineer, and a scout as well. The scout and the machine gunner do the same thing, except her machine gunner does have the ability to repair, which only comes into play for vehicles, which aren't in this scenario yet. The engineer can move, attack, repair, and also an action called demolition. This game introduced to the Undaunted system armored defense. The only way to get through armored defense is via demolition or anti-tank actions. She'll be using the demolition action in this scenario because her scenario is to blow up buildings, which have armored defense. There are a few free actions you can take. Any card can hunker down, at which point you put it back into the supply. The way you build your deck is there's a platoon sergeant and a few other cards in here that allow you to pull cards from your supply to add them to your deck. If you add too many, your deck will become very, very slow. However, if one of your tokens get removed from the board, because you cannot discard a card after it gets hit, you will lose that piece permanently. Every time that an attack is landed on one of your pieces, you have to go through your hand, followed by your discard pile, followed by your deck. And you have to discard a card that represents that token. If you cannot do that, that piece is removed and no longer can come back onto the board at all. In the scenario book itself, there are 12 scenarios that follow the journey of the long-range desert group of the British forces. The British forces win if they claim 3 objective points. They claim 3 objective points by blowing up any of these 4 buildings that are on the map. I win, as the Italians, if I claim 3 objective points. That means that I get my riflemen to each one of these and control the structure. And at this point, we are good to start. Italy has the starting initiative. We shuffle our decks, draw 4 cards, and start duking it out. Okay, we have both drawn our hands, and now we have to play a card for a determined initiative order. I have starting initiative, so any ties, the ties go to me. I played a Fog of War.
I played a 3.
The British forces now have the initiative, and it is your turn.
All right, so first I am going to scout 2. That does mean I have to take a Fog of War card. Then I am going to scout again. And I'm just gonna come here. That's another Fog of War card. And then my engineer is going to, he's gonna move up one.
I am going to initially play Rifleman A and move him up one. I am then going to play Machine Gunner and move him up one. Then I'm going to play my Squad Leader, which is not one of the cards we showed in the intro. It allows me to bolster 2 or inspire 1. Inspire means I can move with any other card from Squad A that I moved this round. Bolster means I can pick 2 cards from Squad A to add to my discard pile, so they'll be reshuffled into my deck. I'm gonna bolster 2, and I'm gonna pick up another Machine Gunner and another Scout card, and throw those into my discard. So now we both draw 4 more cards from our decks, and do it all over again. 5.
Fog of War.
Alright, so initiative switches over to me. I go first. I'm going to play my Scout initially, and he's going to go 1-2, which is going to put a Scout token onto this location, and also give me a Fog of War card into my discard. I am going to play another Scout card and go 1-2 to scout both of those locations, and I get to have to take 2 Fog of War cards for adding 2 Scout tokens to the board. And then I'm going to play Platoon Sergeant, which allows me to bolster or command. Command allows you to draw 2 more cards on your round, or bolstering allows you to bring more cards into your deck. I am actually going to take 1 more of each with a bolster of 3, and throw them into my deck, and that is my turn.
All right, so my engineer is going to move. My machine gunner is going to move. And my lieutenant is going to bolster 3. Let's go 1, 2, 3.
I just filled my deck up. That was probably a bad idea. All right, so Kate and I are both going to be running out of cards this round in our decks. So you take your discard pile, which we've been filling up with all that stuff from bolstering and Fog of Wars. Shuffle this up.
Every day I'm shuffling.
So I have the control of the left 3. Well, I don't have control of them. I have scouted out the left 3 objectives, and you have scouted out the bottom of the board towards my
I will
right.
point out that's a 2.
Oh, I didn't even notice that was a 2.
Did you not notice that was a 2? Why did you think I... Oh.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that was a 2.
Didn't think so.
I really didn't.
Why did you think I was...
So that, her blowing this up or me controlling that point would be worth 2 points instead of 1, which we're competing the first one to get to 3 victory points. I currently have scouted out 3 victory points. She's only scouted out 2, but she only has to hold 1 spot. And once a point is destroyed, I can no longer control it.
So quick question. Can I destroy this if you have a spot on it?
Yes.
Okay.
You absolutely can.
So that's not
you
a
just have to scout it out first. 6.
Fog of War.
Alright, initiative stays with me. My scout with both of those cards get discarded. I'm going to play a scout to use his recon action, which removes a Fog of War from the game as long as it's in my hand and I get to draw a new card. I am then going to use my scout to shoot and attack that gunner. Okay, so I'm going to play my scout to attack your gunner, and when you attack, you take the base defensive value on each of the tokens, so her gunner is 4, and then she gets the bonus of the tile she is on, so she gets +1, putting her a total of 5, and then you count the number of spaces between each spot. So the scout is only 1 space away from the gunner. If they were on the same token or tile, it would only be 5, but in this case I have to roll a 6 or better. I rolled a 3. I missed. Okay, I'm gonna play my gunner next. I'm going to move him into space with the hanger on it, and that's the end of my turn. So Kate, you are up.
All right. So first thing I'm going to do is my engineer is going to move into here. And then my warrant officer is going to inspire him to demolition. So Mr. Perkins is gonna try to blow up that vehicle.
Okay, so you're doing the demolition action of
I
the
am.
engineer. You'll get to roll 3 dice. There are no bonuses given. You just have to roll above a 6. And that is 3 sixes.
3 sixes!
Go ahead, you
Yeah!
She has blown up my Italian mail truck and gets to take 2 objective points. And you
So
still
I
have another
2,
card.
and you have how many?
I have 0 objectives.
I have 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's your turn still.
Oh, and then my last card is fog of war.
Okay, so that doesn't do anything. Okay, so then we move to the next round. And the British are currently up by 2 points.
As they should be.
Okay, so both of us have drawn up our four new cards. We're going to play something. Okay, flip over for initiative order.
3.
I have a 6,
You go first.
so I keep initiative. I am going to play a rifleman to move him up 1. I am then going to play another rifleman to control this location. I now have 1 objective point. And then my machine gunner is going to shoot at your machine gunner. So, machine gunner has a defense of 4. It is 2 spaces away. It has a cover bonus of 1. And the machine gunner special ability is they get to roll 2 dice at once. And I did not hit, because I needed at least a 7. And it is now the British turn.
Alright. I'm about to do some nonsense. Alright. My scout is going to scout. Scout's gonna scout. He's gonna go 1, 2. That's 2 Fog of War cards. And then my engineer is going to move. And my engineer is going to move.
All right, so you're in pretty good position now.
You
I
could
need
say
to
that.
kill that engineer.
No, you don't.
So for initiative, I played a 9.
I played a 6.
I really wanted to go first.
Apparently.
So I have 2 Fog of War cards in my hand that can't do anything at all. I'm then going to play my machine gunner and attack her engineer. I could try to suppress, which would just basically force her to play a card to unsuppress it. But I think it's going to be a 6+ because the engineer's defense is 5 and it is 1 space away. So I should be able to hopefully roll a 6 or better on 2 dice. 9. All right. So if you have an engineer in your hand, you have to discard it. Or actually, correction, remove it from the game.
I hate you. You're a monster.
What was his name?
Hanker Joe Robertson!
Yeah, well, I mean, Hanker Joe Robinson shouldn't have been trying to blow up my airplanes. Okay, and you still have more actions, so it's your turn now.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Let me look from this wonderful selection of options that I have. So my machine gunner is gonna do some nonsense now. You know what? He's gonna get in here. He's gonna move.
Okay.
He's gonna get in on this action.
So that was an interesting round.
Took away my good action.
And I cannot control a location until there are no spaces left on it. Or there are no enemy pieces left on it. So that really hurts. 1.
6.
Ah. That was not what I was hoping. So the initiative switches over to you.
Perfect. So my machine gunner is going to just make life harder for you and just move. Oh, I can't. I'm not scouted there.
Yep,
Rats.
nope.
Fine. He's gonna attack. He's gonna attack your rifleman.
Okay. That's a 7 and a 4. So that removes this rifleman from the game. Well, from the card from my hand. And you still have more cards to play.
Do have more cards to play. I'm going to actually use Lieutenant Darcy to command 2. So I get to draw 2 cards into my hand. And then I'm going to use Hanker Joe Robertson, who you thought you killed, but you didn't. He's back, and he is going to try to blow up that objective point.
And you have to roll a 6 or better, as it just wins you the game.
I know it does. I am very aware.
Ah, no, there's a 7 there.
There's a 7 there!
That wins you the game. That face, no, absolutely not. So, that's Undaunted, North Africa. As I said, it is a quick, easy game, and maybe not so easy for me, but apparently for my wife. That's gonna be Gaming with Gamers Haven from both Bobby and Kate.